Check out thechosenprime.com in the link in the description below for this and other great items.
Alright everyone, welcome to another RFC Reviews. I'm your host Diecast, and today we have Masterpiece movie series MPM-04. And this of course is Optimus Prime from the Michael Bay movies, or the Transformers live action movies. We're actually going to be able to get away from the Michael Bay movie from now on, I think. So here he is, and just for size comparison, slide this back a little bit. We'll just get Bumblebee, his other Masterpiece movie brother, in there for scale. And then here is a deluxe Titans class, or Titans Return Deluxe Class figure. Brainstorm just to give you an idea on scale for this guy. Now, I do want to mention before we get into the review that I'm probably going to sound really negative on this review. And it's not that I mean to be negative. There's a lot of things on this figure that are not perfect that I feel need to be pointed out to be fair to everyone who may purchase this figure, that they kind of know what they're getting into. But I really, even with all its flaws, I still really like this figure. And I want to say that before we get into the review, just so people know that I do like it. I do like it. I just want to point out the stuff that other people may find with theirs that I found with mine that could be better. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that head sculpt. Really nice Optimus Prime non-face mask, and then he does have the flip and rotate function just like that, and then you can get the face mask Prime, which is really cool, and it's really simple to do. I hate when a head gimmick is hard to get in there and rotate everything around, but this is really easy. So I give them kudos for that, because most of the time they just try and make you, the whole top of the head just flips around, which is really nice. It makes it super easy to do. These are posable up on the front, so you can have these all the way up or down if you want. I kind of go in between, in the middle, right there. His arms on a ratchet, doing a 360. They can go out all the way. Elbow joint, you can get, it's not a dual elbow, but you can get more than 90 degrees, especially if you get these panels out of the way. So, the legs are on ratchets back and forth. He can't get back too far just because of the backpack. Does kind of get in the way. Then the knees are also ratcheted, and they are kind of double jointed. There's this joint here and joint here to give you a really nice knee bend. And then you also get nice foot rockers, and you do get a lot of backwards and even a good amount of forward on the foot, so that is really nice. There is also a waist swivel on this guy to get him in some other poses. The head, of course, can rotate left and right. His chin does kind of get stuck on his side panels, but if you lift it up, you can get his head to rotate even more if you want that look. And oh, that's not right. But yeah, you can get him in a lot of nice poses if you want. And then the only thing I did forget is he does have a wrist swivel, and he's got the 3 fingers, the one pointing finger that is individual, and then the thumb, which is kind of weird. It only has one joint, and that's just to go up and down like that. There's no side to side on this or anything. but he can point, kind of. So that is pretty much it for articulation on this guy. And then let's get into, let's show off the box real quick. I know I'm doing this completely backwards, but today there might be a method to my madness. So you have the MPM-04 Optimus Prime, you got a Hasbro on here, Takara Tomy at the top, since this is a shared masterpiece release, I guess we could say. On the back here you see some product shots, and he does have the movie Matrix, if that's a thing that you want, that one thing he used one time. And then there needs to be some discussion about the packaging, because as you can see, it's very flimsy, and the figure is even not really protected on the top and the bottom of the tray, which is very sad. There's no additional plastic to cover the top of the figure. And this is not how you package a masterpiece figure. This is not acceptable. I don't know why they're going this way. I know it's cheaper, but it is a masterpiece figure, and you're paying, I think, roughly either $100 or $120 for this. So this is not how you package a $100 to $120 toy. Make the box a little bit bigger. Make the plastic a little beefier, and put a plastic piece on top, for God's sakes, because you will see, I'll just put that away off to the side, you will see all the paint rubs on his foot. That's because his foot was sticking on the top. It was like sitting on the top of the box. So there's a high chance that if you purchase this figure, that there may be some damage right out of the box because they're not packaging them correctly. The other thing that we have to talk about in robot mode is these front pieces right here. There is this die cast piece at the center, and no matter how you try, there are tabs right here, but they will not go into those slots on the die cast. Either one. They'll stay near it, but they will not go in. So that's really bad that they couldn't even, get that right off the bat. There shouldn't be, shouldn't have to fight with that to kind of get in the slots. That's not really acceptable. But let's go ahead and open up the chest, which is a little bit difficult on this guy. So there's the chest piece. Get in here, and you flip this piece down. Sorry, my fat fingers are in the way. It only goes down about that far, and that reveals the Matrix, which kind of sits at a weird angle. And then if you pop that off, which it's a pretty tight connection, but if you pop that off, drop it out, there is your Matrix of leadership, kind of. Yeah, it kind of represents it. It's, it's nice that they put it there. I don't think I would have cried if it wasn't there, just because, I don't know, it's Revenge of the Fallen. It was a good movie. It was a good movie. But I don't really need my movie Prime to have a Matrix like I do my Generations or Generation 1 Prime or Masterpiece Prime, because that's more iconic of having a Matrix than movie Prime is. But then you can just, slide all those panels back, and the doors just fold up like that, and there you have him without. And then there is a swivel at the thigh, which I probably forgot, the bottom of the thigh. So there is Optimus Prime. Now on the back here, These kind of are supposed to tab in also, but they just do also not hold. So this is the way the backpack's kind of supposed to look, but those pieces won't hold. And I do like how the backpack cleans up very, very nice. You know, even from the back, Prime looks really good. So there's a lot of good things going on with this, but especially when we get into vehicle mode, there's a lot of things that could be a lot better. So let's go ahead without further ado. Let's just get into the transformation. Oh, before we do that, there is his axe accessories, and the way you do that is you flip in the hand and the axe will just plug in. Actually, I think this rotates around. There you go. And there he has his axe, and you can put them on both sides if you choose. Just gonna rotate the hand in, and then you can have the hand out a little bit, but it's not going to be straight. It's going to be bent at the wrist, just like that. There's no way to get that all the way back. So, or hide the hand, which I kind of wish they would have been able to hide the hand a little bit when these popped out. But again, he does look nice with his blades, and then we'll just pop them out. And then he also has his gun, which you have to fold the thumb up to get in his hand, but then you can rotate that down and even rotate his thumb back down to the normal position to give him his blaster, which is just gray plastic with a little black on the end right there. A lot of nice molded detail in that, just not enough paint on it. But that is it for his accessories. Get that out. Get that out. And let's go ahead and get into transformation. And it has actually been a couple weeks since I transformed this guy, just because he's been sitting around waiting to get reviewed, and it's been so crazy lately with There Goes My Money and Radio Free Cybertron and the second job, that he's been sitting around for a while and I haven't touched him. So hopefully we can figure this out again together, and hopefully I don't forget anything. But first thing you want to do is straighten out the legs. And you will see that there is a little notch right there, and a lot of stress cracks. What is that? I guess part of that, I don't know if part of that broke or what. Looks like maybe extra plastic that never got cleaned off from the factory. But again, their QC is not as high. Not as high as it used to be. So we'll just tab that into his knee, just like that, and straighten out his legs. Same thing on this side, just tab that in, straighten those legs out, and then what you want to do is come down to the feet, and we'll start pulling the heels apart. You can rotate these pieces up a little bit and just flip the grill out like that. And you can close both those pieces up, and the whole foot will untab. It clips in right there. So just untab that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Untab it. Flip the foot up so it just folds in half, and then on this piece we're going to come up here and open this panel on the side of his leg, pull this out and pull this section out, And then in here, which is also hard to get at, you have the exhaust, or the bottom part of the exhaust pipes. So you're going to bring that around and flip that out, and you can see there is a little notch there. Little notch right there that this will fill in, just like that. And then you're going to straighten this all out. Rotate the wheel up so it's straight. There is a little tab it'll tab into on the side right here. And then this tab right there will go into that slot right there. So again, basically we're just extending his whole leg and making it super long. So do the same thing on this side. Unfold this panel, and I'm holding it upside down, but hopefully you'll see exactly. I'm doing the same steps. Flip this piece out, which is the bottom of the exhaust, and then rotate this up, tab that in. They will probably untab on their own, and tab that in up front into the front of the foot. And then you can tab, make sure your knees are still tabbed in properly. Then you can tab this section together, just like that. And then there you have the front of Optimus Prime all done. We'll just tighten up the grill. Snap that together. And then I just like to go through and make sure everything is flush, everything is where it should be. And then we'll come up to the front. The other thing, you want to push up the hips, I believe. I don't know if they want to be up or down. I think it might be down. But we'll figure that out once we flip it around. I forget if these hips have to be down or up, but now we can come up to the front or the top of Optimus Prime. And first thing we want to do is just get everything out of the way here. We'll get these back panels off to the side. Unplug his arms. They will come down just like that. Pull these grills pieces out. Get the doors out of the way. Same thing on this side. If you pull this out, then you can start to flip the door back, and that'll give you clearance to get this front chest piece out. And then that'll all rotate around. Push that door in and tab that in. And again, this is one of those spots where the tab, you can't really get it tabbed in as much as you want, and it is clear plastic, so you do have to be careful about that. But tab that in as much as you can. We're going to take this wind vane piece and fold that down. Same thing on this side. Take the wind vane piece, fold that down. Make sure this is plugged in again on this side. And now that we have that all done, this piece will come down, and then this whole section will accordion out just like that. And it makes this kind of messy looking Optimus Prime, but now we can sort of redo everything. And when you flip this cab section around, his head is going to go right in that section that the matrix of leadership was. Alright, battery died there, so sorry about that. But flip that around, you're going to stick Optimus Prime's head inside that matrix cavity. Then you're going to tab these two top sections of the cab together. And then up here you're going to see two little tabs, two little slots, and that'll just pop up in there. And that's going to give you the top part of the cab. Then these arms, what you can do is come down here, get these panels out of the way, flip in his little shoulder triangles, rotate the arms around, and then come up to the top, and you want to pull this panel, lower this down a little bit, pull this panel on his wrist up. That'll allow you to turn it, because there is this little slot right there, so you can't turn it without pulling it up. And then you get that just facing the front like that. And then you can also line up this panel, and this tab will go in right there. And then you can just bring that arm in. And the other thing I forgot to do is bring the gas tank around, so, or whatever that tank is. So you bring that around, and that'll fill in that gap I had on the arm right there. And then you can see how this is all going to go together. And let's try and tab this in real quick. And this is always the hardest part, because if you don't tab this in right, you're going to have a gap in between the windshield right there. But that's how it tabs in. You can pull that light out front. There you have one side of the cab, or at least the front of the cab, all done. So we'll do the same thing on this side. Pull up this arm panel, rotate that around, push that down, pull this out a little bit, and flip around this tank on the front, and then move that panel down so it lines up with everything. Close that triangle up, and then just get this all brought around, and then you will see it will tab in right up front right there. There's two little sections, and then tab it in right on the front, right on the windshield there. And then the arms will also tab in right down here, and that popped the front of the cab section apart, so we'll just have to re-tab everything. This is one of those sections that's very hard on this guy. Don't really know why. And there you go. So let's go ahead to the side here. What you want to do on this is rotate this panel up. Then we can just open up this wheel section. This will open up and flip around. Just like that. and then come up to this top part. And you can see there's a lot of stress marks on mine, and I think most of those are actually from the factory. So open that up, pull this panel out. This smokestack will rotate around to the front, just like that. And then you want to bring this whole section down and plug it in. Kind of squeeze that together, and then this smokestack will tab in right there, and you can extend the stack on this side. Then we'll go around to the side, and we're going to do the same thing. Flip this around, open up this wheel flare, flip that around, go 90 degrees, just like that. That's like that. And then bring this piece down, open that up, open that piece, and then rotate this down, and then close this up on the side there. And there you have the other side of the cab all done. And now all we have to do is bring this, yeah, now I'm definitely remembering the feet, the hips have to be forward, I believe. So, close that up, and again, you're just going to have to check to make sure everything's still tabbed in properly, which mine are not. So we'll tab those legs in again, tab those in. And then this whole truck piece will come down. The legs want to be back as far as they can go. And then it's just a matter of snapping this all together. And another part that really annoys me, you can see a stress mark right there. That's from these tabs right here. There's a hole right under there. But you have a bunch of things to kind of line up when you're tabbing this in. And if you get the grill tabbed in first, then you can kind of go down the side and tab all this in. There you go with the front and the front. And now you can see that cab did come undone. But if you can squeeze that together, you can fix that gap. And you can see everything does kind of want to come apart. Just because there's so many things to tab in. And you're trying to avoid that gap on the windshield, which I have again. But if you can get that set before you tab in the rest of Prime, that gap should stay away. But then we just need to get the rest of this back section tabbed in. You'll see the wheels right here. We'll swing out. And then they tab in to this back section right there in that slot. There's a tab right there. Do the same thing on both sides. And I feel like something's not tabbed in quite properly. This piece can come up. And again, this never really stays straight for me. That's about as far as you can get it straight right there. Now you can push it a little bit more, but it just kind of flaps back, and these sections right here tab in on those leg posts right there. That leg section, these posts can come up just like that. Which tabs that all in. And then you just have to go around, and you can see this windshield is gapped, at least on the one side. And sometimes you just can't get it. See, this side's fine, but this side is gapped again. So it is a frustrating bit of transformation. I know there's people out there who've done videos on how to fix this. You shouldn't have to fix this stuff. This is a $100 to $150 toy. It should just work out of the box. The other problem I have is my smokestacks. One I can extend all the way, which is this one. This one I can't. It does not come up as far as the other smokestack. No matter how hard I try, I'm actually popping the rest of this out, trying to get that lined up. So that's another area, again, that's just not the way it should be. And now you can see the front gap from me just trying to pull on the smokestacks. The other thing is, on this, the smokestack should tab in to the bottom sections here, and they don't. And I've searched the internet, I've looked at pictures. The only time I ever saw that actually tabbed in was on a prototype, but the doors were so pulled in that you could tell it was just barely hanging on. It was kind of like that, which again, not really the best, because it's not the way it should be. Everything should work, and now you can see I got the huge gap that you kind of can't get rid of once it pops up, no matter how hard you try. You can make it a little bit better, but it's a super frustrating transformation. Looks good in robot mode. Probably the best looking Optimus Prime, movie Optimus Prime we've ever gotten. Again, the paint's not perfect on this thing. There is a little paint scuffing and marks on it. And that was probably just from in the box. It came like that. But he does roll. Very nice. Yeah, I just wish they would have done a little bit more QC on this guy. They could have delayed him as much as they wanted, and it probably really in the long term of things wouldn't have affected much. It's so close to being nice, but there's so many things about it, like that front gap that I almost had licked, that it just... And again, you would literally have to take this thing apart to try and redo to get that gap closed. And I have gotten it where the gap was closed, but it does tend to rear its ugly head, especially when you're so close to the end of the transformation on this guy. And he's just a boatload of frustration. So he's going to stay in robot mode for me. And then let's just show off. He does have the hitch for MP10 if you want to put MP10's trailer on him. If you want him in this mode, which I'm assuming most of you probably will not. And then you can tab his gun in here and put his missiles or his... They are one way, believe it or not. Put his swords connected to the missile, or his gun, for that look, which is absolutely ridiculous. But yay for weapon storage. So there you go. There is Masterpiece Optimus Prime. One of the most frustrating masterpieces I think I've ever owned. So hopefully this video helped you guys out, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.